So the man who shared with me ideas that changed my life, I want to share with you 3 of those basic subjects. When I met him, I was 25 years old, and when I first got acquainted with him, I used a lot of excuses as to why I wasn't doing well. And he said, well, tell me a little bit about your story. And I told him, you know, I was behind on my bills, had pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank, that I was embarrassed about being behind on my big mouth promises to my family. And then he gave me one little simple phrase that really forever changed my life. And here's what he said: Mr. Rohn, if you want the future to change for you, you've got to change. And he said, if you don't change, the next 6 years of your life is going to be just like the last 6. You'll still be behind on your bills. You'll still be behind on your promises. But then he gave it to me in the form of a promise. When I was 25 years old, I've remembered it all these years, and I've shared this promise now with probably over 3 million people in the last 30-plus years. And it's going to be valid for you, so listen carefully to this promise. My teacher said to me, young man, if you will change, everything will change for you. If you will get better, everything will get better for you. What a clear message that was for me. He said, if you'll change your philosophy, if you'll change your habits, if you'll refine your thinking, if you'll change and accept some new disciplines, if you'll turn the corner where you've been in the past, go for a new life for the future, he said all kinds of remarkable things will happen for you if you will change. Before I met Mr. Shoaff, I used to cross my fingers and say, I sure hope things will change. I was hoping the government would change and the tax structure would change and that my boss would change and pay me more money. I was hoping that, you know, economics would change and prices would come down, and I was hoping that circumstances would get better. And then I discovered from my teacher that those things are going to continue the same. In fact, all of those things that happen to us is kind of like the wind that blows. And the wind blows on us all. But if you just let the wind blow, I'm telling you, it won't take you where you want to go. All of us must use this wind to take us to the dreams we've got, to the equities we want, to the money we want, to the income we want, and to all the things we want our life to have. This is where we want to go, and we've got a good wind, but we must not leave our future just to the wind, just to the economy, just to the structure of the way things are happening today. Here's what we must learn to do, and that is set a good sail. And if you'll learn to set a good sail, and that's what my teacher taught me in those early days. He said, Mr. Rohn, the wind is going to blow however it's going to blow. Politics are going to be politics, and the economy is going to be the economy. And however it turns out, that's the way it's going to be. What you must learn to do is not to wish for a better wind. That's naive. The key is to wish for the wisdom and the skills and the learning so that you can set a better sail. And so that's what I did at age 25. I went to work not on the economy. I went to work not on the community. I didn't go to work to try to change the government. I didn't go to work to try to change my boss or the company. I didn't go to work to try to change circumstances. I went to work to try to change myself. And I picked up that promise my teacher shared with me, that if I would change, my income would change. If I would change, my bank account would change. If I would change, my future would change. And sure enough, his promise came true for me. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Those pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, behind on my promises. The second 6 years of my economic life, I wound up rich. But interestingly enough, the second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same and the economy was about the same. You know, the companies were about the same. What they paid was the same. Circumstances around me were the same. You know, my negative relatives were the same. But I was not the same. That's how my life changed. And that's how things started working for me, changing my life all those years ago. So that's what I wanted to share with you to begin with, this beginning of what Mr. Shoaff shared with me, that if I wanted my life to change, this was what I was going to have to do. And so he broke it down into 3 subjects that really made an impact on my life, and I want to share those with you. The first subject he called personal development. And the second subject he called setting goals. And the third was how to become financially independent. And I'd like to give you just a few clues from those three major subjects that so dramatically affected my life. And let's get started. The first one is personal development. Now, in illustrating personal development, Mr. Schoaf, my teacher, started with money. You know, money's not the only place to start in talking personal development, but it's where he started, so let me share the thoughts he shared with me back then. Let me share them with you. Here's the best lesson I can give you on economics. It's very simple. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. That's about as simple as I can put economics. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. Now, it takes time to bring value to the marketplace. However, we do not get paid for time, so we cross that out. Mistakenly, the man says, I'm making about $20 for an hour. Not true. If that was true, you could just stay home, right, and have them send your money. So that's not true. We don't get paid for time. We get paid for value brought to the marketplace. Now, since that's true, here's one of the key questions of my talk to you today. Is it possible to become twice as valuable to the marketplace and make twice as much money in the same time? Is that possible? The answer is yes. Could you become 3 times as valuable as you might be right now to the marketplace and make 3 times as much money in the same time? And the answer is yes. 5 times, 10 times? Of course. Now, there's some key questions to ask here. Why would the marketplace pay someone only $5 an hour? Very simple answer. They're not very valuable to the marketplace. Now, we must underline to the marketplace. Now, as you begin to climb this ladder, why would the marketplace pay some people $50 an hour? Answer, evidently, they must be more valuable to the marketplace. 10 times more valuable. And is that possible for someone to be 10 times more valuable and earn $50 an hour instead of 5? And the answer is yes. Now, why would the marketplace pay some people $500 an hour? Evidently, this person must be much more valuable to the marketplace. That's what's important to understand, to the marketplace. And would the marketplace pay one person $80 million for 1 year's work? And the answer is, of course. This is all possible for you. Now, Mr. Schoaf gave me the clue on how to climb this ladder as high as I wanted to climb. Now, we're talking primarily economics here. There's a lot of other ways to become valuable to your family, valuable to your friends, valuable to the community, valuable to the team, right? Valuable to the team effort, valuable to the concert. But here's what he said to me. In climbing this ladder economically, all you have to do is work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I heard that, it made sense to me. I kept hoping that everything else would change around me, found out that if I went to work on myself, worked on my skills, worked on my language, if I became better than I was each year, if I grew in skills and language and vocabulary and competence, then I would become attractive to the marketplace. Not very long ago, a company called me and said, Mr. Rohn, we're expanding internationally. We'd like to have a bit of your expertise to help us. Would you give us a bit of your time? We'll add some millions to your fortune. And I said, okay. And I thought later, isn't that interesting they would call me? Then my second thought was, of course they'd call me. Who else would they call? I can get the job done. Now, what a contrast for me, farm boy from Idaho, raised in obscurity, parents of modest means, broke when I was 25. How come I would get a telephone call and someone offer me a lot of money to help them in expanding around the world? Simple answer, evidently. Something happened to me between age 25 and where I am today. And I can tell you where it all started. From my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, who said to me, we don't have to change what's going on out there. That's the wind that's blowing. All we have to do is change what's going on in here.